This is a CNN breaking news alert. The situation is rapidly unfolding. Tonight the world holds its breath, gripped by uncertainty and fear. In a move that has sent shockwaves across the globe, the United States launches targeted airstrikes, a calculated risk with potentially catastrophic consequences. These strikes are aimed directly against Iran's nuclear facilities. Codenamed Operation Midnight Hammer, a plan years in the making, the attack shattered a fragile peace, a peace painstakingly built over decades, plunging the region into chaos and threatening to ignite a wider conflict. B-2 stealth bombers, the vanguard of the American assault, struck under cover of darkness, unseen and unheard until it was too late. The explosions lighting up the night sky, a stark testament to the destructive power unleashed. The strikes aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear infrastructure, a strategic objective with global ramifications. It was a single, decisive blow, intended to neutralize a perceived threat. The operation combined a formidable array of air power, the most advanced in the world, naval assets, projecting American power across the seas, and cyber warfare, a silent battle fought in the digital realm. All of this aiming to set back Iran's nuclear program by years, potentially altering the balance of power in the region. Diplomacy has collapsed overnight, the last vestiges of hope extinguished, replaced by the stark reality, the grim and unavoidable truth, of open conflict, a dangerous and unpredictable path. As the sun rises, painting the sky with hues of orange and red over the Middle East, a region steeped in history and conflict, the world faces staggering consequences, the weight of which is almost unbearable. And now the terrifying question hangs in the air. What comes next? What will be the repercussions of this act? The initial shock, the disbelief that such an event could occur, is giving way to a deep sense of dread, a chilling premonition of what is to come. The world now stands on the precipice, uncertain about the days ahead. In the wake of the strikes, the Pentagon confirms that the primary targets were indeed Iran's most fortified nuclear sites, facilities carefully selected for their strategic importance. First, Fordow, then Natanz, and finally, Arak. Bunker-buster bombs, specifically designed for hardened targets, struck deep underground, penetrating layers of defense, aiming to systematically destroy Iran's critical nuclear and missile infrastructure, dealing a significant blow to their capabilities. In a televised address to the nation, President Trump defended the strikes, calling them a necessary act of prevention against an imminent threat, citing irrefutable intelligence gathered over months of an imminent nuclear breakout, a point of no return. The White House swiftly released a detailed dossier, claiming Iran was actively violating international commitments and treaties, a breach of trust on the global stage. Pentagon officials continue to insist the entire operation was meticulously planned and executed with precision, with the utmost care taken to minimize civilian casualties and collateral damage. Critics, however, immediately emerged, questioning the validity of the intelligence and the controversial decision to bypass the UN Security Council, warning of potentially exaggerated threats and the likelihood of significant collateral damage. International inspectors from the IAEA had not reported any evidence of an imminent breakout, raising serious questions, fueling widespread skepticism about the true nature of Washington's justification for the strikes. The official narrative of a clean surgical strike minimizing harm is already being fiercely challenged by independent media, by emerging reports of widespread chaos and destruction on the ground, painting a far different picture. The world's response has been swift, a chorus of voices rising in concern and condemnation. The international community is overwhelmingly negative, leading to the US finding itself increasingly isolated on the global stage. Diplomatic condemnation is widespread, splashed across headlines worldwide. Iran's supreme leader vows crushing revenge, a fiery declaration signaling a dangerous escalation. The nation announces its withdrawal from all nuclear agreements, effectively dismantling the JCPOA and raising serious concerns about its nuclear ambitions, and further escalating tensions, placing the military on high alert, preparing for any eventuality. Russia and China issue strong condemnations of the strikes, labeling it as a reckless act of aggression, a dangerous move that threatens global stability. They are calling for an emergency UN Security Council session to address the crisis immediately, and hinting at potential support for Iran, further solidifying a growing anti-US alliance. European allies voiced their criticism of the unilateral action, expressing deep concern over the lack of coordination. They are warning of a catastrophic regional escalation, a descent into further chaos and instability. The lack of prior consultation with NATO partners has created a significant rift within the alliance, exposing deep divisions and strained relationships. Across the Middle East, U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia and Israel, while publicly silent, are quietly supporting the move, signaling a complex web of alliances and strategic interests. While other nations in the region fear being caught in the crossfire, trapped between powerful forces, countries hosting U.S. military bases are bracing for the very real possibility of Iranian retaliation, increasing security measures and preparing for potential attacks. Oil prices surged dramatically, jumping over 20% in a matter of hours, as fears of a potential disruption to the crucial Strait of Hormuz grip global markets, sending shockwaves through the financial system. The world economy reels from the shock as the crisis deepens, threatening to trigger a global recession. In the US, the breaking news of the strikes immediately sparks widespread panic and fuels deep political division across the nation. The phrase World War III trends online, as fears of a new military draft and dangerous misinformation spread rapidly through social media. Anti-war protests erupt in major cities across the country, reflecting a nation weary of endless conflict and global instability. Demonstrators decry the lack of congressional approval and demand accountability from their leaders. Washington is sharply divided. Republicans praise the president's action, while Democrats condemn it as reckless and unauthorized by Congress. Calls for congressional hearings intensify as the debate over war powers reignites within the halls of Congress. Federal agencies issue terror alerts, warning of possible Iranian retaliation and potential cyber attacks on critical infrastructure. For Americans, the threat of war suddenly feels both distant and dangerously close to home. The world stands on the brink, teetering, its future uncertain and precarious. Iran's options for retaliation, missile strikes, escalating tensions, proxy attacks, cyber warfare, could trigger a wider war. The US is isolated, increasingly so, with diplomatic off-ramps rapidly disappearing. The attack may have made a nuclear-armed Iran more likely, not less. The precedent for preemptive strikes undermines global non-proliferation efforts. Nations may now see nuclear weapons as the only true deterrent. As the world waits, anxiously, the next 48 hours will determine if this crisis can be contained or if it will reshape the Middle East and the world for generations. The hammer has fallen at midnight. Now the world holds its breath for what comes next, uncertain of the dawn.